Welcome back to part 2 of my little tuition videos, and today we're going to continue with the Curzon Ashton save that I used as the part 1, which was basically just a general overview of loading the game and you know, what to do, what it all looks like and everything. And today we're going to have a quick look at staffing. Now you can start anywhere you want with the game really. I mean, you might want to start with the squad and the size and players you want in and out. But without the staff behind it all, I mean, it's one of the first things I generally do when I start a save. Have a look at the staff. How many coaches have we got? Can we ask for some more? How many scouts have we got? If we've got no scouts, I mean, it's pointless even going on the road of trying to find some players because you've got no scouts out there looking for players. So, you know, director of football, medical staff, I mean, they're not going to be needed, you know, immediately you start a save if you're in the summer transfer window. But, you know, you do need to bring some good quality staff in. And that varies, obviously, on the level that you start at. If you start with an Arsenal, for instance, then you're more than likely going to be able to get fairly top line staff all the way through. If you're starting with Curzon Ashton, as we've already seen, we only have 2 coaches. I think we only have a couple of scouts, and that's probably all that we're allowed because of the finances of the club. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the staffing. So if we go over to this left panel and click on staff, I did show you a little overview of this in the first video, but we're going to go into it in a lot more depth today. Basically, we've got these 3 areas here. So we've got the coaching team, the recruitment team and the medical team. And all these, as you can see with Curzon, they all need work. So, for instance, the medical team, we do need a head physio. We have got a physio and we're only allowed 1. Now, if you want to try and enhance your arm, this little box here, if you click that and the drop-down box that comes into view, we can actually go into this section here, coaches allowed, Curzon Ashton. We can ask the board for more staff, more coaches. At this button here in the recruitment team, now you'll notice there isn't an ask for more scouts in there. That's because we are allowed to and we haven't got any. When that's filled up, 2 out of 2, then you can ask for another scout. And it's the same with the medical team. There'll be a drop down box in there and you know, physios allowed. So you can ask for more. And within a short space of time, if you go to your inbox over here, click your inbox and there will be a message in there and the board will say yay or nay, you can have more staff. So as I mentioned in the first tutorial video, these bar charts here, ideally you want these bars to be hitting this line here because that means that you've got the best. They might not be the best scouts or coaches in the world, but they'll be the best scouts and coaches and medical staff in your division. And if you can get those bar charts to hit that line, then you're on to a winner, because more often than not that will mean you've got the best in all of those departments in the league, and that's where you want to be really. Because playing Football Manager, I mean, football in real life, it's not about having the best players or the best players that you can afford. It's about having the best coaches and the best medical staff who can keep them in, train them really well, keep them in tip-top condition. So it's just the same in Football Manager. You know, you need a good backroom staff. So if we go into the coaching team, for instance now, so manager, we've got 1, that's me. Assistant manager, we've also got an assistant manager. We've no head of youth development. We've no head performance analyst. We have 2 coaches already. Now they might not be the greatest coaches in the world, but we have 2. So if you go to where it says coaching team, you've got a little chevron there and click that, you get another page opens, and this actually tells you who your staff are. So we've basically got a goalkeeping coach, Kieran Bentley, assistant manager Alex Brown, there's me, and then we have 1 other coach. So we've no fitness coach, and fitness is obviously a really big thing. So this is where we might want to go in and ask for another coach so we can have, I mean, the 3 areas that we want to coach are goalkeeping, general coaching and fitness. Those are the 3 areas that we need to coach. You really do need to have those 3 areas covered. Now it may well be that your assistant manager or yourself as manager is a good fitness coach, and if the board won't allow you to have any more coaches, then you could assign yourself or the assistant manager to do the fitness. You've got a goalkeeping coach and you've got a general coach. None of this is ideal, because when we look into the actual training schedules, you'll see there are a lot of categories, and you can't really spread that too thin across a lower number of coaches, because otherwise they get overworked and then you will get like a heavy workload, and you don't want that in there. In fact, we'll have a quick look at that, shall we? Let's just have a quick look. So if we go into training, and then up on the top line here, coaches, and then go to edit coach assignments, and this is telling us all the different areas that we need. So we need to be coaching goalkeeping, shot stopping, handling, defending, tactical, technical, same for attacking, same for possession, same for fitness. And then along the bottom here is the coach workload. So at the moment, because it's out of season, all these are set to none. But when the season starts and we start doing some proper training, then these will change to either, low, average, heavy workload. You don't want any of these to be in heavy workload, because you'll not be getting the best out of your staff or your players. So that's just a little indication there. And like I say, so we've got the assistant. So I was just saying there that maybe if we've not got a fitness coach, maybe either the assistant manager or myself as manager could cover that. So if we just hover over, so if you hover over the like Alex Brown, for instance, hover over the assistant manager, and you'll notice along the bottom here comes up a box, and it tells you what that person is good at training. And you can see there that the assistant manager has a 4 for fitness. Now all those scores are out of 20. So again, you have to cut your cloth. We're Curzon Ashton. We can't afford an awful lot. If we were with Arsenal or Bayern Munich or one of the big clubs, then you'd want your fitness to be 19 or 20. But you have to cut your cloth. So it's a 4, and you can see from this here now that where he is actually training fitness, strength and quickness, and there's a tick in each box. So he's got that covered. So if the board say, no, you can't have any more coaches, then we are actually covered. So it's not a major disaster, but we have actually only got 4 people doing all of the coaching. Now, the other thing to take into account as well is that I think Curzon Ashton are semi-professional. So they're not a professional team. So that means they're only training maybe, say, 3-4 times a week. We can have a quick look at that. So if we come out of there, and if we go into club info, and in here it will tell you professional status, semi-professional. So we're not actually a professional outfit. So obviously, again, at this level, Curzon Ashton, quite a grassroots team. Well, not really grassroots, but non-league team. And if they're only semi-professional, they'll only be training maybe 3 or 4 times a week. So we might get away with 4 coaches. But the rule of thumb in Football Manager is always ask for more staff. Always be asking for more staff. If the board knock you back, leave it a few weeks or a month or whatever, go back in, ask again. Because what will happen is that, let's say for instance, we start managing Curzon Ashton. You've asked for a new coach or a new scout. No. But if you get Curzon Ashton into the playoff positions after, say, 10 or 12 games, then that will up your reputation a little bit. So you might be able to go in and say to the board, you know what, we're doing all right here, but if we had another coach, we could do even better. So essentially, just keep asking all of the time, and you might find Curzon Ashton in the playoffs, 12 games in, can we have a new scout? Can we have a new coach? Well, you're doing all right. Yes, you can this time. So keep asking for them. Anyway, back to the staff screen. So as you can see at the moment, we do need in coaching, we do need a head of youth development at this moment in time. We could ask for a new coach, and that may be the way that we will go. We'll go into the recruitment team, because in recruitment we actually have no recruitment staff whatsoever. So that's probably a good one to use as an example. So we have no scouts at all. We're allowed to, we have none. How do we go about getting a scout? Okay, so if we go to this button here again and click that, at the bottom there you can see place advert scouting. We can place an advert for a director of football, a chief scout and or a scout. That's one way of doing it. What will happen with that is that will then generate over a matter of, say, weeks, or it really depends again what level you are. but over a matter of weeks that will generate some interest, and then you will get in your inbox, you will get a message to say we've had 8 replies to the advert for Scout, and here are the candidates. So you can then have a look at, you know, which one you think is best, and then try and go in and hire them. The other way of doing it, which is the way I normally do it, because the problem with placing an advert is that does take time, and particularly with the recruitment team, at this time of the year now, we're in the 28th of June, we are actually bobbing onto pre-season, and if we want to bring anybody in and we've got the money to do it, then waiting a few more weeks for scouts to come in, not ideal. So the other way of doing it is to go onto this top line and do staff search. If we do staff search and then come over to this side and do new search, and then in here you can pick the kind of staff that you want. So staff role, recruitment, scout. So then you go to attributes, because every staff member will have attributes, whether it's a goalkeeping coach, a scout, a physio, they all have attributes that you have to bear in mind. So then we go to attributes, pick. Now I know from playing the game that the 2 main attributes, it's not the be all and end all, but the 2 main ones are judging player ability and judging player potential. If you tick those 2, that will take you to the scouts that are available. Come along the bottom here and it's saying is at least 15. Now remember, these scores are out of 20. At Curzon Ashton, we will never in a million years get a scout that is 15 out of 20. So there's a plus and minus here. Come over this side and we'll reduce that. Let's say we reduce it to 5. So that's 5 out of 20. Doesn't sound a lot, but as you've seen already, you know, my assistant manager is a 4 for fitness. Not great, but you have to cut your cloth. So if we click OK now, that will now bring up scouts. There will be other people in there who can do scouting as maybe a secondary job, or you know, there's a manager in there. Alex Hayes is a manager, but he's obviously good at scouting as well. Recruitment analyst, technical director. So the other thing we need to do then is come to this box here. At the moment it's on medical team attributes. Obviously we're not dealing with the medical team at the moment. So we need to come to mental attributes. Click that, and now you can see over here we've got an array of attributes, and here judge A, judge P. So that's judging ability, judging potential, and down here you can see those numbers. Now Alex Hay as a manager, he's a 9 for ability and 10 for potential. This is the scouting attributes. It's doubtful that Alex Hay will come because he's a manager. I mean, if you're a manager, you don't want to give up and go and be a scout, do you? So it's doubtful we get him. Unfortunately, he's the highest one there. But if we drop one down, we've actually got Matt Lawrence, who actually preferred job is scout, and he's an 8 and a 9, which is not too bad. If we click on Matt Lawrence then, just click on him, and then his attribute screen comes up as an individual. So we've got adaptability, very important for a scouting, it's really important for. Adaptability is the ability of that person to adapt to a situation of working in a country or a different country. It's what it says, it's his adaptability, and the higher that number, the quicker that scout or medical person or coaching person will adapt. So that's quite good. And then obviously determination, level of discipline, that's quite another one. And if you hover over them, it will tell you. So determination, the mental desire of the staff member to succeed. This isn't a coaching attribute in terms of coaching a player's mental approach, but rather the staff member's own initiative drive to better themselves. So again, you know, all of these things are all ingrained in the person that you're trying to hire. And I think level of discipline is a really good one. So then we drop down to the actual, so when the green bar that's at the side of these attributes means that they are kind of desired for this role. So the adaptability is 11, judging player ability is 8, judging player potential is 9, and his knowledge is complete in England, but only in England. Now, if we wanted him to scout, again, at this level we wouldn't, but if we wanted him to scout in Spain, he has no knowledge of it at all. But if he had an adaptability of 20, we could potentially send him there, and over a space of time he will get used to it. With adaptability of 11, not so much, but we don't really need that. I'm just giving you examples. You know, if you're with a higher club who can scout Spain, and I mean, you know, when you get into the top divisions, Brazil and Argentina, and well, all the countries in the world really, to try and find like the wonder kids and the best players that possibly will, you know, improve your team. So anyway, so we've got over here, it's saying staff role, scout. He's got a green circle, which means that that's the job that he's good at, really good at, and his preferred job. He's an 8 and a 9, as we've seen on the other screen. He's the best of the bunch that we picked through. We do need another one, but he's the best one. So if we come over here to contract, on this top line here, contract, approach to sign. And then in here, it will tell you then what his contract requirements are. So contract type, part-time, scout, second job, none. We're hiring him immediately. If this bar is red, that means he's asking for money that we don't want to pay him. We can't afford that. So, and then a contract length of 12 months. In this division, really, you would only want to hire your coaches, in fact, all your staff, unless they're absolutely super duper. But you only want to hire all your staff on a 12-month contract, because if you manage to do really well with your team and get them promoted, you want better staff then in the newer division. So 12-month contracts are ideal at this level. So you're saying, right, okay, we've only got one button here, walk away at the bottom. We can't sign him. But there, to the left here, there's a minus sign. If we click that, we're actually willing to pay £170. Only £10 less, £170 a week for a scout. And now another click box is opened, suggest terms. But what I always do is I always go a bit lower. So maybe click that button, say 4 times. We're down to 140 quid now. So let's suggest those terms to him. So he's come back now. He's dropped his demands from 180 to 170. And as you can see, we're okay with that now. This blue line means that's fine. We're willing to pay that. But, you know, money conscious, let's just try a little bit more. So we dropped to 140. Let's try him with 150. He's dropped to 160 now. So I don't think we'll be able to get him anymore, but we have actually got him for £20 a week less than he wanted. So if we wanted to sign him now, we'd click finalise deal, away you go. So we're going to walk away from this one because this is only a tutorial and I'm not really playing with Curzon Ashton. And if you ever want to get back to the original screen, you just go back to overview, and that will take you back to the original screen where, you know, we can see our requirements. Take note as well, we also need a chief scout. So your chief scout really should be, we should have better stats than your ordinary scouts. So maybe we would go back in for that lad that we've just been looking at and offer him a chief scout's role, because he was the highest stat wise of all the scouts that were there. Like I say, alternatively, come to this button here, place an advert, see what comes through from that. If you're early enough in you know, maybe your season has just finished at the end of May, maybe you'll want to do that and see what comes through. A quick look at the medical team then. So we need a head physio. We've actually got a physio at the club, but we need a head physio. So the same thing again, you can either click the drop down box and place an advert, or you can come over to the staff search screen. We're now looking for a physio, so we edit search, we go into the medical team, physio, take these out with this little minus button, go to pick, and we now want physiotherapy. So we're going to click that one there. Again, we'll never get a physiotherapy at this level at 15. So let's drop that down again to about 5. Click OK. So there's more physios available than there was scouts. Again, we have to come over here now. We're changing, you know, we've changed department now. So we have to change to the medical team. Click medical team, and now here you can see the attributes, PHY physiotherapy, and in here there's actually some half decent physios. So we said 5, But there's actually some in here that are, so Adam Brown, for instance, he's a 13 for physiotherapy. Now, we do need a head physio, and he's got to be better than the physio that we've got. So maybe we'd want to offer him a contract, because he's a 13, he's got an 11 for adaptability. Mike Hickson, 13 for physiotherapy, he's a 16 for adaptability. So again, it's all personal choice. You just go down there, pick one that you think, yeah, okay, I like his determination, I like his adaptability, he's got 12 or 13 for physiotherapy, let's hire him as the chief physio. So back to the staff screen again, and we're looking at the coaching team. We do need a head of youth development, but let's say we needed a coach. Let's say we asked the board for a coach and they say, yep, you can have a new coach. Okay, so again, we can do the place an advert, blah de blah. But if we go to the staff search, and this time we come over edit search, and this time we're going into coaching team. So we want a coach. Take the physiotherapy out, go to the attributes, and it gets a little bit more complicated with the coaching side, because like I say, there are 3 areas. There's goalkeeping, there's general coaching, which then splits into other categories, and there's fitness. So as you can see, this is a little bit more technical. So if we wanted a goalkeeping coach, we'd come over here and goalkeeping, shot stopping, handling, distribution. If we wanted a fitness coach, there's a button for fitness coach. If we want a defending coach, defending. What an attacking coach, attacking. But then there's also subcategories of that. So you might want a defending coach that's really good at training your tactic. Or you might want that's good on the technical side. So again, all of these buttons can all be selected, and it will narrow down the kind of coach that you're going to get. So with the coaches, it's quite a bit more complicated, really. Again, 15, we're probably not going to get anybody who's 15. Let's drop down to say 6. We've gone defending, so we click OK. If you see here, there's rather a lot of those now. So maybe we want to go back into edit search and click the plus button and take that up a notch. 7, 8. So this is the level of their coaching ability for defending. Again, out of 20, 9. So I've clicked 9. It's kind of now dropped it to a level that I have no selection. So let's drop it back to 8 again. Click OK. And now in here we need to come back to this button. We're not on medical anymore. We're on coaching abilities. Coaching abilities. So in here now we can see this is all goalkeeper stuff. That's attacking, defending, fitness, mental coaching, technical coaching, tactical coaching, people management, and their level of working with youngsters. So we were looking for a defensive coach. So Gavin Cowan is a 12 for defending. So if we click on Gavin Cowan, now although he's a 12 for defending, the other things to take into consideration with a coach, I mean obviously like I said before, the green line that's next to him, they are kind of things that you need to be looking at. So level of discipline, determination and motivating, he's got a 10, a 10 and a 15, which is okay. But for actual coaching, we're going to do either tactical or technical on the training screen. He's a 5 and a 4. Not that great, really. So let's go back again and have another look. So let's have a look at Matt Waldron. So he's a 10 for defending, nowhere near as good as the other lad. But then again, his tactical and technical expertise, they are higher, they're 6s. So it's a bit of a balancing act. You have to try and get the person who is a good mix between, if you're looking for a defensive coach, defending, tactical and technical. And if we just go back to the training screen, so we click training, go to coaches and edit coach assignments. So we have a coach who's kind of doing what we call overall training. So it's Jack Sorkeld. Yeah, Jack Sorkeld. If we hover over him, so we see that his attacking attribute is 6 and he's got a 6 for mental, 6 for technical, and 6 for tactical. So as we saw with the other chap that we were looking at in the hiring screen, we had one there who was a defensive coach. I think, was he about 12 or 13, and something like 4 or 5. So you can see that Jack Sorkel is not the best coach available, but it's a balancing act. You know, you have to look in there, see what the best coaches that you can possibly get for the money that you're willing to pay. And then coming back onto the staff screen, you will see this bar chart rising. It will only rise if you're able to hire the best staff that you are capable of. So if you've offered a staff member a contract to come to you, it's not guaranteed that they will come to you. If they're a free agent, you've got a fairly decent chance, but be aware that once you make an offer, a football manager will actually then, oh, that's been alerted. Somebody else could offer him a contract as well, and you might lose him. If they're already employed by another club, then it's up to that club to say to that staff member, okay, somebody's coming in to poach you, but if we offer you more money, will you stay with us? And that very often, there's a high chance of that happening. So just be aware of that. Offering a contract doesn't necessarily mean that they'll come to you. And while we're talking about staff, so if we come down here to this, now Curzon Ashton have an under 18s team. You could have an under 21s as well, so there would be an extra button here. But if you just click on Curzon Ashton under 18 staff, then this opens up then another page. So you can see here that we've got a whole staff roster available for the under 18 staff. So the coaching team, we can have a manager, assistant manager and a coach. We're not allowed any recruitment team managers, but that would all be dealt with by your youth recruitment on your main coaching page. Medical staff, we're not allowed any medical staff. So in here, if you hover over these, it doesn't actually do anything. The way that you find out what coaches that you've got or what managers that you've got is by hovering over these here. Vacant under 18s manager, vacant under 18s assistant manager, and the under 18s coach. And like I say, if you had another box here that said under 21s, you could click on that. So you can actually hire the staff for your under 18s and under 21s as well. Now, if you can't be faffing about with all of this stuff, there is another button up here. So if we go back to the staff screen, if we go here to the next button that says responsibilities, you get a drop down box. In here, you can actually assign staff members, the chairperson. You can assign a lot of things to other people if you don't want to do them. So if we go into scouting, for instance, so scouting, assigning scouts, I've got it set as manager. You could delegate it. Handling scout meetings, again, manager. You could delegate it if there was somebody to delegate it to. Providing scout feedback, so you can read all of those. Providing own team analysis report, we've got the assistant manager doing that at the moment. The bigger quality of team that you're managing means that you will be able to delegate, because if you've got more staff, you can delegate it. If you hover over that, it's saying currently no suitable staff members to delegate this responsibility to. But I can guarantee once you get into the Championship and the Premier League or the top foreign leagues, there will be staff that you can. So if you don't want to be, a good example of this. So if we go back to responsibilities and go to media. So this page here is asking you who you want to handle the media. So the media, quite a big thing in Football Manager. You're speaking to newspapers and reporters all the time. And at the moment, in here, I'm handling everything. Attends new signing press conference, it's me. But in here, now we can delegate this because there is somebody suitable to do that. So if we click this drop down box, we can now assign that to the assistant manager, goalkeeper coach, or the standard coach. Now, media it's a bit of a strange one. If you like all that kind of stuff and you've got all the time in the world, then handle your own media. I never do. I always assign these to other people because You forever, before every game, before every cup game, before every you make a new signing, you've got a page comes up. You've got to speak to reporters. Now, some people might like all of that. I don't, find it a bit boring. So in here, I would delegate all of these. They would be delegated to somebody else. Let them deal with them, because I've got enough to do. Looking for players, sorting the tactic out, playing games, figuring out who's playing well and not playing, all of that malarkey. I can't be bothered doing all of this. But if you want to, that's fine. So again, if we come back to responsibility, if we click on board, this is telling you what the board have responsibilities for. And obviously the very important one is hiring and firing the Curzon Ashton manager. So you need to keep Wayne Scolleld. So actually then, Wayne Scolleld, he's not only the chairperson, he's coaching as well. You know, these little clubs, you know, even the tea person or the sweeper upperer, they're doing like six different jobs, aren't they? Because that's what it's like in the lower leagues. So again, you know, this is what the board can do. A big one is the transfers and contracts. So if you click on this one now, this is basically telling you that, so transfers, initiating player signings for Curzon Ashton, the manager. Now, again, it depends how deep you want to go into playing the game, but at the end of the day, if you don't want to be, again, faffing around with signing players, you want to delegate. If you've got a director of football, you might want your director of football to do everything. And he may be, there's different levels of this. He might run a player past you and say, I found this player, boss, what do you think? He might just sign him, depending on the level of delegation that you have in here. And, you know, you can just read down all of these. It scrolls down, handle incoming offers for youth team players, for the under-18s team. You might want to delegate that. I usually do. Not always, but I usually do. I usually do all my own signings, so I would keep this initiating player signings, handling incoming offers to first team players. I want control of that. I've just had a perfect example in my grassroots to goal boots save that I'm running. I thought I'd got all of this sorted out, and obviously there was a box that I hadn't clicked, because basically I had a player called Nick Horton who is my best player at the club, and the board actually took an offer for him from Bolton Wanderers and sold him out. I basically had the rug pulled from beneath my feet because he was one of my best players. The next thing I know, the chairman comes in and says, we've had an offer for Nick Horton, too good to refuse, we've accepted it, he's off. Okay. And Nick Horton was the only player I had who could play right wing in the club. So I had to go out and try and find somebody to replace him. Luckily, I think I have. It's still early days yet, but so it's really important. This, you know, if you want people to run all that side for you, then that's absolutely fine. If you want to be a bit of a control freak and do it all yourself, and to be honest, that's the way you build a successful club. Because if you've got other people signing players for you that you don't like the look out of or not going to fit into your tactic, that's no good. So you would want to be coming in here and making sure that you're doing all of this. And then the next button along is contracts. So again, you can read all of that. Do you want to delegate? Do you want to run it yourself? Offer to clubs. You can read all of this. And then another button here that can be, I mean, you don't use it an awful lot, but can be very important in the game, is Job Centre. And that's exactly what it says. It's the Job Centre. So let's say, for instance, you started the game up and you didn't pick a team and you wanted to be unemployed starting the game. You would come into here, and these are all the jobs that are available. Now you can come over this side here to the filter button, filter. So let's say we want a manager's job. So if you take all of that out and go to manager, and then these are all the manager jobs that are available. Let's say we've been managing Curzon Ashton for a couple of years and we've done okay with them. You know, we've got some management experience under our belts, but we're thinking, you know what, maybe it's time to move on, look for a bigger club. So you could come in here. So we're in the Vanarama North League. So you might want to look for a team in the National League, which is the next one up. So Aldershot and Scunthorpe are after a manager. It tells you the leading candidates. and Anthony Johnson is 11-2 to become the new manager of Aldershot. But if you click on Aldershot and then go to Overview, and you can view the job advert. Click on View Job Advert, and it's telling you in there that, I mean, it's probably not the greatest example to show, but it shows you the manager, rules, transfer policy, etc., reputation of the club, finances are okay, they've got a wage bill of 17,000, training facilities are average. Would you fancy managing Aldershot, having been Curzon Ashton manager for a couple of years? Maybe you would. Apply for the job. They will get back to you. Depending what period that's been on for, you might get a message to say, sorry, it's the application process is over, or it might be that yes, we're still looking for a manager, and then you can go for an interview, and the interview process is quite intense as well. So they'll ask you loads of questions about, you know, why you're applying for the job, why you're leaving Curzon Ashton. Do you think you can handle a job in a bit? They'll ask you all kinds of questions, and depending on your answers at the end of it, they will say, right, we're going away, we'll think about it, and the next thing you know, you've either got a job offer or it's gone to somebody else. So this is quite an important screen. Like I say, you don't use it very often. And what can happen as well in Football Manager is that, let's say again, we're Curzon Ashton manager, let's say we get them promoted to the National League. Let's say we're in the playoffs in the National League. We've been with them for 3 seasons, maybe 4. We're doing really well. What might happen is that Aldershot or Scunthorpe might actually come and ask you. You might get a message in your inbox and they might say, we've seen you doing really well. We like what you're doing. Would you like to attend an interview? So then they will approach you. And very often that's a more positive way of applying for a job, or getting a job even, because if they're coming to you and approaching you, the chances are they've seen what you're doing, they like what you're doing, you know, job's a good one. And then lastly, contracts. So if we got the coaching team, because we've got 3 people employed in there, 4 including myself, but if we go into here, we've already been on this page, but if you just follow this a little further along here, so this tells me that Alex Brown is on a full contract. It tells me when it expires. So he's with us for another year and he's on £150 a week. Now, I mean, fortunately, I mean, this is a really good example. So the goalkeeping coach, Kieran Bentley, he's actually with us on a month-to-month contract. So his contract has actually expired. Now, as we saw before, we click on Kieran Bentley. And again, out of 20, he's 5s for distribution, handling and shot stopping out of 20. That's not great, is it really? But we do have an opportunity there because he's on a month-to-month contract. He's not going to cost us anything. I mean, if we go back here, if we said, right, Alex Brown, we don't like the look of his attributes, he's not great. If we wanted to terminate his contract, we would have to pay his contract up, whereas the goalkeeping coach, not so much. So, I mean, if we went into staff search, do the same thing again, come over here, coach, coaching, goalkeeping coach, take that out, we go into this, shot stopping, handling, distribution, we'll take this down to, so he was 5s, wasn't he? So even 6s would be better. Click OK. Right, okay, so there's not an awful lot out there as it happens. But if we look at Brian Jensen, he's the only one available, and he is actually contracted to Shrewsbury. So if we did want him, there would be some compensation to pay. But if you look at his stats, he's 6s for distribution and shot stopping, but he's a 14 for handling. And at this level, that's really good. So we might want to offer him a contract. And if you remember what I said before, because he's employed, you offer him a contract, Shrewsbury might come in and say, right, what are they offering you? He's on £650 a week. I don't think Curzon National would be able to afford that. But let's say we offered him 800. Shrewsbury might come back and say, look, we'll offer you 900 to stay. You might not get him anyway. I mean, he does actually, for this level, does look quite a decent coach. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to go into too much more detail today. We've done quite an extensive tutorial there on the staffing of a club and how to navigate around the staffing screen, where to find things, how to hire people, looking at contracts, responsibilities, all of that kind of stuff. This is only one small section of Football Manager, so you can see why none of this can be done in one tutorial. I'm not quite sure what the next one will be on, but certainly keep your eyes out, because as you can see, Football Manager, quite a complicated game, and it does take you a while to get your head round things. And I think if you've got a little bit of help with, what I always say is as well, is don't just watch my tutorials, watch other people's tutorials as well, because we all have different angles that we're coming at. I might miss something that somebody else picks up on, so watch a lot of tutorials and it will give you a good grounding and a good overview of how to play the game. Anyway, like I say, I'm not going to waffle on too much more today, so keep an eye out for the next one that's coming. Tutorial 3 will be with you very, very shortly.